All right, I'm going to record this session. All right, let's get started. So this is going to be the overview of Synk31. It's going to be the full program, which would be the compliance training. And then during Go Live, we will have separate department training as well, like tables, slots, cage. If you guys want surveillance to have any access, or marketing or finance, we will have those sessions as well. My name is Angelo Greco. I work for Konami Gaming Incorporated. I am a systems training specialist. You guys want to go through and state your name and your title?
We could. I'll start. Catherine Bleeker, consultant working with Hollywood.
I'll go. Nina Dozier, IT Director, Hollywood.
Jessica Reed, Financial Controller, Hollywood.
Robin Corbeil, Director of Finance in Marquette.
Judy Wool, Compliance, Marquette.
Jeff Gilbertson, IT Manager, Marquette.
Barry Esnault, Senior IT Tech at Baton Rouge, and then also Barry Dunlap here, Casino Service Supervisor at Baton Rouge also.
Shanara Hadley, Slot Operations Manager, Bella Baton Rouge Casino.
Craig Stolzenthaler, Finance, Hollywood.
All right, is that everyone? I can't see the list right now while I'm sharing.
Justin Rome's also on here. He's a IT technician or network specialist out here at Baton Rouge.
Excellent. Well, very nice to meet everyone, and I'm sure I'll meet everyone in person during the Go Live. Marquette, are you guys getting Synk31 at any time?
Well, we were supposed to be the first ones to get it, but it's been pushed back. So I guess we're just kind of at a standstill right now.
Okay, but eventually. Excellent. All right, a few basic rules. Be respectful. Participate and ask questions. All right, that's why we're here. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Any question you may have, please ask. What we're going to go over today is I'm going to show you Synk31 basic navigation. We're going to start with the configuration setup, and then I'll show you the MTLs and the NILs, the negotiable instrument logs, which are your checks. Some places call it MILs for monetary instrument logs. Then we're going to show you how to manage and file your CTRs, create suspicious activity reports, and then send those suspicious activity cases, file those as well. And then once we file those, we will go into continued suspicious activity. I'll show you how to set up a committee and do committee reviews as well. And then we will go to our AMLE file and complete cases and send those to the BSA. Create Know Your Customer cases, review and manage reports, manage compliance reviews, and the tax documents. Show you how to complete those. I'm gonna end this slideshow. So Synk31 is web-based. All right. we are going to give you guys a URL. This is my test instance here at Konami, but we will give you guys a URL, and whoever has access to your network will be able to use that URL. So if you're at home and you're not connected to the network, you won't be able to bring up Synk31. But it is web-based, and it talks directly to Synchros and vice versa. Synchros talks to it. Oh, did you guys admit Bruce? Perfect.
Yeah, Angelo, I did. I'll just admit people.
Good afternoon.
So that doesn't.
Thank you.
throw you off.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
But yes, it talks back and forth with Synchros. So if you change any information in Synchros, it's going to update into Synk31 and vice versa. So we're going to give you guys your usernames, just like Synchros. It should be your first initial and full last name. And then we'll assign you a password. Once you log in for the first time, you'll have to change the password to something personal. And then once you sign in, it's going to bring you to your dashboard. So this is the compliance dashboard. They're going to have access to everything in the system. This Synk31 is a button. So if you are in any form and you hit the Synk31 button, it's going to take you back to your dashboard. Your dashboard is going to have hyperlinks to all the cases. All right. So your suspicious activity, continued, CTRs, know your customer, the SAR committee cases, today's MTL, today's NIL, suspicious activity. This will take you to the initial report to start suspicious activity. And again, your eFile, reports, config, tax. And then on the right side here is notifications for cases. If you click on these, it's just a quick way to get right to that MTL. This bell is also your notifications. It looks very similar. If you want to look at all of them, you can click view all notifications. And then again, you can click on a certain MTL and go right to that MTL. And you can also clear these notifications. Just hit the X, it'll clear out. If you clear notifications, it's only clearing them for your login. All right, so if another person logs in and they have access to these notifications, they'll all still be there.
Will it return when you log out and come back in, or is it gone permanently at that point?
No, it'll be gone. I mean, the MTL will still be in there, but your notification will be gone. The little person symbol here, that is you, and it'll show what roles you have access to in Synk31. This is also how you can change your password and sign out. Your cases. This is where the suspicious activity cases are going to live. Your continued suspicious activity, your CTRs, and you know your customers. Committee. This is where if you are registered as a committee member, which most casinos, they put, the higher executives on the committee so they can review these cases, make notes on them, and then basically vote if they think it should be filed or not. But it doesn't matter what the votes are because compliance has the final say. So, if most of the committees say, no, I don't think, we have to file this SAR, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Compliance has the last say and they can go ahead and file it if they want to. In your forms, this is where your MTLs and NILs live, and to create a suspicious activity incident report. In the MTLs, you're going to have today's is always active. And then every other day is under pending review unless they complete it, and then it'll show it's completed. Once you file, once the gaming day ends, that MTL will go into pending review, and then anybody in over 10,000 will automatically go into a CTR. Once you go into those CTRs and you complete them, you can go to this AML file to see what is ready to be filed. And then this is where you can file those to the BSA. We're going to do a deep dive in all these. I'm just doing an overview real quick. And then we have our reports. We have our patron reports, system reports. This is a book wagering report. This is only for Nevada, so you guys won't see this. That option won't be there. Configuration. That's going to be the first thing we're going to get into, so I'll just skip that for now. Compliance reviews. So we have our OFAC checks, our tax identification number checks, and our death master list checks. So when you do run the TIN DML check, it'll come back and say, okay, the social security number matches that patron. And they are not on the death master list, so they're good to go. And then your OFAC checks, these will basically, they're done every night. But if you have a list of patrons that the OFAC checks one night, it's not going to run that check. So if that patron comes in the next day, the system knows that it checked it yesterday, so it won't check that patron for the next day. It actually won't check them for like another 30 days. So the system knows who was checked on the OFAC list. And then your tax forms. This plus button will bring up your tax forms. So you can choose whatever tax form you are going to file. And then once you choose a tax form, you can bring up the patron and set up that tax form. Then you have patron lookup. It's just, you can look up your patrons, get details on a certain individual. All right, so I'm going to go to the agenda. Number 2, and we're going to get into the configuration. So I'm going to go to config here. I always suggest skipping users first and go to roles. All right. During the operational analysis, you guys gave us a list of your roles and what access you want for those. So it's going to have a whole list of your roles in here, and then what access they have to Synk31. If you have a new employee or a new role, you can add a new role. Your role name, it's whatever it is based on your casino. I set up, a couple generic roles, and then so you name your role, and then what privileges they would have. So for a cage cashier, normally they just have MTL, NIL. You may want them to have know your customer. You can also have a read-only role as well.
Hey, Angela,
Yes.
all this part of the sync system though is really more from a administrator standpoint though, right?
Well, IT is going to have certain access to Synk31 as well. So yeah, they'll have the config part.
I'm saying like the role names and all that stuff. Wouldn't we be setting that up specifically?
Well, that's what I mean. You gave us a list of your
okay.
roles and what
Okay.
access you want them to have. So we're going to set it all up initially.
Okay.
This is just if you create a new role,
Okay, all right.
and you have an employee that needs that role, you
Okay.
can set one up yourself as well.
All right, thanks.
And your TIN DML check. All right. So, Cage Cashier has basic access, then you can hit add and it'll add that role to the list. And then once you create your role, then you would go to your user. You also gave us a list of your employees, so all of your employees are going to be in here. But if you wanted to add a new employee to Synk31, again, hit the plus button, put in their first, last name, social. Well, the asterisk is a mandatory field. This is just a setting in our test instance, but you won't be, it won't be mandatory for you to have a social security number. And then basically you would choose that role that you created and then give them that role. If you want to put in their email, that's fine too. Give them a username. So, first initial, last name, make them a password, confirm it, and then make them active. And then once you hit add, then that person will be able to log in with that generic password and set up a new password. If someone gets locked out or if they forget their password, you will also go to users, go to the settings, put in your password, put in the employee username, give them a new password. You can force them to change it on next login, hit save, then they'll have a new password, or you can unlock their account. If they just fat fingered their password too many times, it'll have their same password, you'll just unlock it. The scenarios. This is automatic scenarios that you guys will set up, or you'll tell us what you want and we'll set it up first, but then you can go back and change these later if it's not coming up with the results that you're looking for. But these are automatic scenarios looking for suspicious activity. I'm sorry, someone have a question? No? Okay. Yeah, these are scenarios looking for suspicious activity. All right. So the jackpot analysis scenario, this is something you would run for like every maybe 30 days, 60 days. It's basically just if there is a patron and they're winning a lot of jackpots, it's basically saying, all right, I want to see the aggregate of the jackpot of how much they're winning. So total jackpot, and then the percentage of money that they are putting in to hit that jackpot. You got your minimal gaming for front money, minimal gaming for markers, cashless wagering, check cashing, chip purchase, credit debit, and minimal gaming for Tito. It's basically saying whatever money, so minimum credits is 2,000 credits to put in a slot machine. If they don't play more than 60% of that 2,000, it's going to, trigger on a suspicious activity. So it's basically looking at a percentage of gaming, for money laundering. Also slot machine bill stuffing. This is going to run automatically like every 5 minutes. And if anybody gets triggered, it will pull it up and it'll give you the asset number. If they're using a player card, it'll give you their name. There's scenarios for structuring, and like I said, you can choose how many days they run. If you want to run every day, every 3 days. Structuring, cash in, cash out, unknown chip source, walks with chips. Pretty cool. And then test environment. So if there is a scenario that you don't think is triggering enough, so like minimum gaming for Tito, you can pull up an active report. All right. And then you can do test. So you can test like the same dates. And then you can change the formula. So say instead of 60%, I want to try 40%. And then instead of, minimum 2,000, we make it 1,500. We can save that and then we can run a test. And then it'll give you your active report that was already ran, your test results, so there, there will be a difference. And then the comparison is basically it would be the cases that have fallen off of here and came onto here because of the changes that you made. And then you can actually save these tests, for a later date if, you get approval to change the values. And the tests, they don't have any, uh, it doesn't have any, like functionality to real live data. All right, these are just tests. It doesn't, what I'm looking for, it doesn't reflect, to the actual data.
Does the test data export in any way? Like if, let's say, state was to say something like, hey, I'd like to see how the test data, ran, so I know if I want to approve this change or not or something. Is there something that exports that data in a way or gives you some type of a report based on that data?
That is a good question. I'm going to see you right now. It does not look like it. Actually, you know what? Is that 6? I believe there's a report. Oh, no, this is the report for changes. Those are there. No, either. That just gives you the counts of how many alerts. No. There is no report on the tests.
All right, thanks.
You cannot export it. Sorry. But that's something to think about for the future. So let me write that down. That is a good idea. So Synk31 is fairly new for Konami, and they are constantly updating. So I think that might be a future thing. And then settings, your general and document settings, we are going to get the information from you ahead of time, and they're going to be hard coded in. If you need to make changes on these, you would have to call us and we'd have to do it on the back end. But your general settings, we're gonna have all your information here. Your filing address, contact information, transaction address, and all of this information. So, your federal tax ID number, state tax ID number, all that's going to be inputted. And all of that is going to flow over into the W-2s and the jackpots automatically. The MTL thresholds. So these are your alerts, basically, for your MTLs. These will be set up for you as well. But they can be changed by you if you want. So, normally the limit's 10,000. Alert level could be like 5,000, then warning level 3,000. This default cash in is basically saying, what is the lowest amount that I want to see for an MTL? All right, this is set up for 3,000. And then verification time frame. It's just basically saying How many days do you want to wait until it verifies? Wait, hold on. Oh, it's once you verify like a ID or a MTL or CTR, how many days is that verification good for before you have to verify it again? That's what that's for. Same thing with CTR, this is going to be put at 10,000 and a penny. You're not going to change it. Any questions on the configuration? All right, we are going to go to our forms. And this is where our MTLs, NILs, and SAIs are going to live. So again, today's MTL is always going to be active. It will not go into pending review until the gaming day ends. But you can go into your MTL. There's no information in there right now, but I did put some in on the 17th. So the MTLs, everything is going to flow from Synchros automatically. And it's starting at penny number 1. All right, it starts recording transactions from, the first dollar. But that's why we do that default at 3,000. Otherwise, this list is going to be so long and ridiculous. Transactions over 3,000 are really the ones you want to see. But if you hit this filter, your default's going to be here. You can go ahead and change that and say, all right, I want to see everybody in $100, and you can apply that filter. There's probably not going to add anybody. But in your, live casino, it'll show everybody that came in any transaction $100 or more. So cash in or cash out. You can go into the MTLs. And see exactly what those transactions are. So once you go into MTL, it'll have your patron name, your patron ID number. This little page here will let you make notes on a patron. You can just hit the add button, add notes.
He mentioned the sergeant, and I said we were there for like maybe a couple days. I think maybe 2-3 days.
I'm sorry, was that a question? I couldn't really hear you.
I think they just didn't realize they had mute off.
Oh. Okay. But yeah, you can add notes. Same thing with Synchros. You can make it a mandatory note. So when you first look up this patron, the note will pop up and you'll have to read it before you hit the X and get rid of it. So you can add notes. You can edit his information here. If you want to do that, his age, all this stuff is going to flow over from his driver's license. And you can also add photos. This would be like the surveillance portion. Like really all the access they would have is to insert photos. So if I came into casino looking like this one day, and then I shaved my head and shaved my beard, and someone spotted me, they could take a picture of me through surveillance and then upload it into my account. And you can also change the default picture as well. So if I wanted to save that one for a default picture, I could do that. Or if I want to delete. The TIN DML. If these are red, that means they never did a TIN check, for social security number. You can click in there. And also, if there is no social on file and you get their social, you can add it here. Once you add it, you would save it and then come back in here and then run the TIN DML check. And basically what you're looking for is 2 green lines, all right, saying, yes, this is their social security number. No, they are not on the death master list. So the death master list is basically, you know, if I came in the casino and my great grandfather had my same name and I tried using his social, it's basically going to say, hey, this person is deceased. But you're looking for 2 green check marks. And then they have the email, phone number, driver license number, address, and then the transactions. All right. So he was in 9,200 cash and he cashed out 5,200. What were those transactions? You can look at them right down here. So at this time, he was in Chip Bank. He purchased chips for $3,200. And then at this time, he was in the main cage. He purchased a ticket for 4,000. And then he purchased some more chips for 2,000. And then later on, he did a chip redemption for 5,200. This transfer button. So say Dr. Jekyll here had 2 accounts and he used one account at a blackjack table and he bought it for 2,000. And then somehow he got a card reprinted and they reprinted his second account on accident. And then he did this $3,200 transaction, you know, on this account. I can click on this transaction and I can see a few more details. We can edit transactions as well. You know, if so, for table games, okay, that would pretty much be the only scenario where you would have to edit a transaction. Because say I walk up to a table and I throw down, you know, 30, let's say 3,200 in cash. Okay. Well, they run it all out. And when the supervisor is inputting the 3,200, he accidentally hits 4,200 and he, you know, he saves it. And that's going to flow over to Synk31. Well, if the supervisor then goes into the table and realizes that it was only 3,200 and he changes it, Synk31 doesn't recognize subtraction. All right. So if it was 4,200 and they change it to 3,200, it doesn't recognize negative numbers. So that 4,200 is going to stay in here and it's still going to say 4,200. So you would literally have to go into this transaction, hit the edit button, manually change it to 32 from 42, and then save it. It doesn't recognize negative numbers. And the only way that can ever happen is in table games. So if that does happen, hopefully the supervisor will go in and change it because table games will have access to MTLs as well. But you can edit. If I do make a change, so I'm just gonna go in reverse. I'm gonna go 4,200 and I save it. It makes me put a comment in on why I'm saving. Yeah. All right, I don't know why I'm getting that error. Oh, yeah, like it's our tested since, like I said, it has a little bunch of little errors, but it did save it. So it was the previous value was 3,200. The new value is 4,200, and it says who changed it and what date. So if they ever change, yeah, I'll bet you if I like get out of this form and come back, that'll be 42. But it always has an audit trail. All right, on any changes. And also, like I said, if this transaction was supposed to go to the other account, I can transfer and I can put in the right account and I can basically transfer this transaction to another account without having to delete this transaction and then insert a new one. I can just transfer the whole thing over to the correct account.
Hey, do you need an override for any kind of a change like that on table games? From a floor person to a shift supervisor?
Like a approval?
Yes.
I don't believe there's an approval for that, no.
Hey, so let me ask you this, Angela, does Synk31 where we were talking about earlier, where you set up approvals for transactions and such on the admin side,
Yes.
that doesn't tie into Synk31 whatsoever, right? I mean,
No.
Sync31 and Synchros and Sync31 are two separate programs to an extent, right? They may share data
Right.
in a way, but they're two separate things. So there are no, like if you make, like when we were saying earlier where you plug in the social security number in here and stuff, is there any in Sync31, it's just pulling data, not employee, patron data from Synchros across the system to Sync31, right? So if you change anything on the Sync31 side, does it save it the opposite direction? Like if you make a change on the Sync31 side to that player data, or I don't know if you can make changes to the player information completely. If you make those changes, does it save back up to Synchros?
Yes. So the patron information will save back to Synchros.
Okay.
So if I have a patron and there's no social and I enter a social in here, it will save it into Synchros. But the changes on the transactions will not flow back.
And also the approval stuff does not flow across.
Yeah, the approval setups for Synchros does not apply to Sync31.
Okay.
Yes. These are all filters. So if I click the exclude slot bills in, it'll just show like table stuff. If I click it again, it'll add them back in. Yeah, you can add more filters, you know, if they have a whole list of MPL stuff. You can clear the filters as well. And then if these transactions were put on the wrong patron altogether, you can transfer all to the correct patron, and every single transaction will transfer to the correct patron. But once our MTL is the gaming day is over and it's in pending review, like I said, if anybody reached CTR status, so this would reach CTR status. And like I said, these are our warning levels as well. It would automatically get put into a CTR. If you needed a paper form of the MTL, there's this little picture of the paper. You can click that, and then, you know, you can print this out or, you know, save it as a PDF. You can add new transactions. So from what I've seen, like we've sold this to 4 customers already, I believe. And the only time you need to add a manual MTL is if I'm a refused player and I'm playing table games and I come up to the cage and I'm cashing out, you know, 6,000 in chips. And I don't have a player's card. And I don't want a player's card. You can go to add and hit the unknown patron. And then you can put in that cash out of 6,000 and make sure it gets into the MTLs. You can also add new patrons on here as well. I don't recommend it because you can't scan a license into Synk31. Like it doesn't match up with a scanner. So if you were going to, if I'm an unknown patron and I come up and I cash out 6,000 and you ask for my license and I give you my license, I suggest you go into Synchros, Patron One Touch, scan that license in, make them an account, and then you can go ahead and find them in here once you make them an account. But if they don't want to give you their license, you can unknown patron and then put as much information as possible. All right, because we want to know as much about this person as possible. So, we're not going to know their address or anything, but you can put in their race. You can put in their hair, their build, estimated weight, estimated height. The height is in inches, so you can't put like 6'1". So 6 feet would be 72 inches. If they're 6'1", 73 inches, just estimate. And then other characteristics is a mandatory field because they want to know as much about this unknown patron as possible. So you can put like white male, red polo, beard. Just give a brief description of what they look like. Hit add. And then it'll take you to the MTL information. What transaction are you doing? So transaction type, what am I doing? I'm cashing out chips, right? Chip redemption, cash out. Repository. Am I doing it in the chip bank? Am I doing it at the main cage? Transaction amount, 6,000. Agent or multiple persons. If you've seen me with another person and we're like, you can see us passing chips back and forth and I take all the chips and I go up. If you know that patron, you can add them here as an agent. And if it was more than one person, you would choose multiple persons. But if I add an agent, I can find that patron. If I know his name, I can look him up, or I can make him a refusal as well. But you can add people to transactions.
Andrew, we got a question.
Yeah, the surveillance app, will they have the opportunity to drop a photo into the Synchro31 once they've been barred if they don't want to give us their information?
Yes, you can still edit their accounts.
They edit it with a photo?
Yep.
Okay.
This little button right here, you can upload photos.
Hey, is there also, this is all updated on the fly, I guess. And what I mean by that is if I find somebody who's not in there and I go back in the synchros, I add them, drop their picture in there, blah, blah, blah. And then I come back over to Synk31, since it's sort of like a web page, do I have to refresh everything or close out what I was doing for it to come up now?
No,
For that
as
information
soon
to
as
come
you put
across?
it in and you save it, it might take a minute, but it'll refresh itself and then the
Okay.
transaction will be in there.
Okay, great.
Yep. But yeah, you can add multiple patrons to a transaction. You can put in any comments and then hit add. And you get your little toaster here saying success. If you get an error, you see how like there's a timer and this thing's about to go away. I can put my cursor over it and stall it, pause it kind of. If this happens, and it's an error, it'll turn red and like it won't let you process the transaction. Put your cursor over it, and then if you hit Windows Shift S on your keyboard, it'll bring up like a screenshot. and you can take that screenshot and then paste that in an email and send it to us, and we can fix that error. Because there is no history on Sync31, like there is in Synchros. So when those toasters pop up and it's an error,
Wait, so you're saying there's no logging in Sync31?
there is logging, but it's not easily accessible.
Okay, can we just step through that one more time then for how you get that?
Sure. Let's try to add this real quick. So you get that up there, just put your cursor over it and it'll stop. And then you can either hit the print screen button and it'll do a screenshot, or I like to use the snippet. It's Windows Shift S. And then you can just highlight it and it'll save it as a picture. You can throw that in an email, send it to us. We can fix that error.
But you're saying that it would, when you're hovering, it would turn red and it would give the actual error message?
Yeah, it would be red and it would say error, and then it would give you an error message.
Okay. And is there anything in Sync31 as far as if an issue is going on or something you've done on screen is incorrect, do you get any type of reference to that error in the bottom left corner like Sync is, or you would get actual pop-up knowing that you've done something incorrect?
Yeah, it's just gonna be a pop-up like that said success. It
Okay.
would pop up an error.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll get a few of them while I'm going through here. Our test instance has a lot of random information in here that it kind of freezes up a little bit sometimes. What else? So yeah, once the gaming day ends, they go into pending review, and then once all the you take a look at all your MTLs, everything looks good, information is good, you can go ahead and approve them. And then you can put in your approval notes. And then the MTL for this day is completed. And then, like I said, anything over 10,000 will go into a CTR. So NAL, same thing. Really, it's a lot of the same buttons, but negotiable instrument logs are for any check cashed over $3,000. So same thing, you can add it, find a patron. You can use the percent sign as a wild card in Sync31 as well. So I can do Henjack and it'll pull up Henry Jekyll for me. The percent sign's a wild card. You can use it in the front of the name, the middle of the name, end of the name. And it's basically telling, Sync31 or Synchros, like, I know it starts with these letters. I don't know the rest of it. So if I do like a J percent sign son, it'll pull up every Jackson, Johnson, Jefferson that's in the system. But NAL, transaction type, all right. Is it a cashier's check? Is it a deposit, personal check? Your check number. How much are you cashing? Non-cash, you guys won't be using because you guys don't do purchase vouchers. But this option, it gives you the option of taking, if it was a $4,000 check, I could take 3,200 in cash and then I could take 800 in a Tito ticket. But you guys don't do purchase vouchers. But all these asterisks again are mandatory fields. So even though it's non-cash, you still have to put something in there. And then the drawer, there's not a drop down, but it remembers like what you used in the past. So if I was doing, window 2 this time, next time I go in here and click on that, it'll have window 1 and window 2. It like saves what you entered in previously, just as like a quick little hyperlink kind of thing. But yeah, where's the transaction taking place? Any comments? Then you can add that check in there. Log it as a transaction. If I came back and cashed another check, I can add a transaction. Same thing. You just add a transaction. That is your NIL. Any questions about MTLs or NILs? All right. And then we're gonna go to, I can either go back to my dashboard and just go to my CTR, or I can go to my cases. Go to CTR. And this is that, should be 10,200, I believe, from that MTL that I just approved. Yep, there it is. And it automatically created my CTR. All right. Go back real quick. And again, there's also a bunch of filters and stuff too. So you can assign CTRs to certain people, so they can, go ahead and look at them. Go back in here. So you have your options here on the right. I could put this into pending review. I can mark it for e-file. If it was already completed, I can reopen it and make changes. Or I can close it. But that would be after we send them off. There's little hyperlinks here. So if I see my CTR and I see a couple transactions that are a little iffy, you can go ahead and create a suspicious activity report from here, or a know your customer. But if I look at my CTR and I can see the individual transactions on what created that 10,200, your ticket purchase, all that good stuff. And I can say, all right, I'm going to file this. Like everything looks good. I'm going to file it. I can go ahead and include it. If I don't include it, if I don't do an include or dismiss, and I try to go to my notes. Oh, wait, yeah. If I leave that blank and I go to market for e-file, it'll basically tell me at the end, like, hey, see if it'll work right now. Yeah, see, so these are the errors I was talking about. Unable to close. See, and it'll tell you what happened here. So case ID is included or dismissed. And it's basically saying, if I go back to my alerts, I forgot to include or dismiss this one. So this one isn't over 10,000, so I have to go ahead and dismiss it. I'm just gonna leave that alone real quick, and I'm gonna go through. So when we're ready to file our CTR, like I said, include dismiss. You can make any notes that you would want on this CTR, just add a note. Don't have to. Any attachments, that you want to attach. So, if there was a photo or anything that you want to attach to the CTR or, emails about his CTR, you can attach them here. With the plus sign. You can choose your file where you saved it, put a description, upload that attachment. And then we'll get to our CTR document. And basically, like I said, all of these steps are going to auto-populate from the information in Synchros and in Sync31. So filing name, all right, it'll auto-populate his first name and the date. Type of filing, if it's initial report, which this one is, that's going to automatically just default to that. If it was corrected or backfiling, you could choose those. Corrected one, you're going to have to put in the DCN number from the original one. But we're going to do initial report. We're going to save and continue. Success. It'll go to the next step. And like I said, it's going to auto-populate all these fields. So your financial institute, your federal regulator, type of casino, the name, number, your address. All right. So make sure everything's good. Save and continue. Same thing with this, the transaction location step, it's going to auto-populate exactly where everything happened. If there was another transaction, you can add it. Put in all the necessary information. If you hit that button on accident, you can just hit that little minus sign and say, nope, I don't want to add one. Save and continue. Then step 3, persons involved. Person, conduct the transaction on their own behalf. You can make, these notes like, they were structuring, he did it for somebody else. You have to check mark one of these, so it would be multiple transactions. This is the patron information. All right, just kind of give it an overview. Save and continue. And then step 4, amount and type of transactions. The date. I'm going to leave these unchecked. I don't know if they're mandatory, but it'll tell me later on. So the cash in, cash out, it has all the different types of cash ins. So it's going to tell me what is my total here. I thought there was a couple of mandatory fields here. Might be wrong. This validate document. You should always check mark that because it's basically going to validate the document. So if there's any missing fields anywhere, any information that needs to be put in here that is not, it's going to basically say, nope, you missed a couple things. So once I hit save, see, I got an error. Filing institution contact state must be valid state province code. So I did miss something. So normally it's like highlighted in red if you missed something. No. did I miss? That was it. State province. Yeah, we always get these little bugs in here. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, bear with me here. Oh. I don't know why it won't let me save. Oh, now it lets me save. Go back here. Oh. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, once you're done saving, you can go up here and basically say, all right, it's good to go. You can mark it for e-file. Oh, yeah. I still didn't click that. Well, it should save and everything should be good. I don't know what I'm missing. It, yeah, let me do somebody else's. Yeah, this will work. Winnie Lingo. Whoops. Same thing. All right, I'm gonna have to find out why it's doing that later. Sorry, guys. There any filed? Yeah, so there's one here filed for Kerbal Lingo. Once you file it for e-file, it goes into this AML e-file, CTRs. And then basically you can batch file them. So you can set up a day and a time that these will be filed every week. Or you can select, like if there was a list of, 4 or 5 CTRs on here, you can file one by one by collecting, selecting that and then just file that one. Or leave them all unchecked and then you could just batch file all of them right now. And same thing with the SARs too. There's none in here right now, but same thing, batch file, or you can set up a time and date that they'll file for you.
Hey, we got a quick question, Angela.
Angela, you said something about the filing history for Synchros 31. Are the SARs filed as a history in case it's a repeat offender? They may not file them officially, but if they have too many of them, do we have access to pulling up a history of them if it's SARs in particular?
Yeah, the SARs will be in the reports. Yeah, there's reports for SARs. You can choose time frame as well. Any questions about CTRs? All right, back to the dashboard. So suspicious activity. Number 6 on the agenda. I can go down here and I can hit report it to get to my SAI, or I can go into my forms.
Hey, real quick, Angela,
Yep.
on what we were just asking about there, what Barry was asking about was, so if you click on a particular person, you don't get the history of, as far as SARs for all time for that person. You only get them for that day or for that, you know what I'm saying? Like, would you get all SAR references to him for the
Yeah.
lifetime of
In the
him,
reports, there's patron.
but not within not having to go through reports is what I'm getting at. Like if I was in the SAR menu or whatever, and I chose that particular person or popped him in, would it bring up all SARs associated to him or just that day's SARs?
That date.
Okay, so you would have to get them for any type of history for past days. You would have to go to reports to find that information out.
No, I mean, so you have the patrons here. You can filter it. You
Like
know,
if I
for,
click on one of those, if
you
I
you
click
can
on one of
you can filter it. You can't really search, but you can filter the patron, and you can look up their last name. So like, for I don't have any repeating ones here. Hold on, let me click that one more time.
just randomly, if you click on any one of those, right? When you click on it, you're just
So
gonna
Andrew
get the-
Jensen, all right. He's got a SAR on 222 and on 216.
Okay.
You
But
know,
I'm
so
saying, so if let's say he had one every day for the last 10 years, would you see every one of those for the last 10 years?
well, you're gonna file them. And then once they are filed and like accepted, they're gonna fall off this list.
Okay.
So then the only way to see them would be reports.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not gonna keep, a million SARs in this list. Like once they're marked for e-file and they're like, they're completed, they'll fall off. But to create a suspicious activity report, it's in forms, SAI. It's gonna have every suspicious activity report that you created. All right. You're not gonna be able to see anybody else's suspicious activity reports. So whoever's logged in and they create one, you're gonna see the ones you created down here. All right. But to create one, you can hit the plus button. You can find the patron if you know their name. If you don't, go to the add and unknown. So, same thing. Put in as much information as you can. Other characteristics. Hit add. And if there's multiple people on the suspicious activity, I can add another person, add another unknown. And you can add 20 people to this case. And then the reason for, suspicious activity, like what is the reason? You can scroll if you want to find your options. These are defaulted options in here. I mean, I've never seen anybody say that the option they're looking for is not in this list. But if you can think of another option or you do see something that is not in this list, give us a call and we can add it. But say it was a cash out and they didn't want to give me their ID. That's why I'm putting in this suspicious activity report. I can just type in ID instead of scrolling through the whole list, and it'll make the list smaller for me. And then there it is, ID refusal. And I can add multiple reasons as well. If he was doing fraud too, I can add that. If he was, unknown chip source, you can add as many reasons on here as possible. Date and time. If I saw this happen at 10 a.m. and I'm only putting it in now, I can go in here and I can change the date and time. So 10 a.m. And I can just click off to the side here and it'll save that. Location, where it happened, gaming floor. What's my department? Players Club, whatever. How much? If there was an amount, put in an amount. If there wasn't an amount, it's still a mandatory field. Just put a 0. And then full details on why you're doing this report. All right, what did you see? What exactly happened in the whole transaction? And then you can attach files as well. So if surveillance did get a picture of the person, they can add that picture on here, upload that file, and then save it. And there's my ID refusal. Once I save it here, it automatically gets put into my suspicious activity cases. All right, there it is. So, like I said, table games, cage, slots, they're going to have access. Pretty much every department's going to have access to do a suspicious activity incident report. But they will only be able to see theirs. So once they put it in and it goes to the cases, only compliance or anyone that has full access to the system will be able to see those cases. And then same thing, you see your suspicious activity cases. I can click on them. This is the actual case. I can click on this and then actually look at what the comments and everything else that was included on that report. I want to include it. If I want to put any notes for the case, any attachments, my document. All right. Filing name, you can just put your casino, type of filing, initial report. Casino information. Filing institute. Subject information, his entity. I put a gender in there. Whoops. Yeah, see, so date of birth, it says leave blank if unknown. If you just hit backspace, it'll just be blank. All right, now everything's saved. And I can send this to committee review. All right. So I can put it in pending review, or I can send it to committee review. Or I can mark it free file, if you want to file it. And then the specific activity will always have a created on date. So the CTRs have to be filed within 15 days. All right. That is mandatory. Suspicious activity is normally 30 days, but certain jurisdictions, they have different thoughts on how long, they're supposed to be filed for. So for this, we always put created on date. But if I go back to my cases and I go to my CTR, let's say I check on this one, it'll tell me. So this was created on 7/12. It is due on the 27th. Like, you have to file it by that date. All right, so I put that for committee review. And once I file this, it is automatically going to create a continued suspicious activity. It's not in there because I didn't file it yet, but once I file it, it'll automatically go to continued. And then if I see this same person, a week from now, and they're doing the same thing, I can look up that unknown patron with that description. I can click in there and I can add another report. If there's no activity on the same person or the same case for 120 days, the continued suspicious activity will just fall off the list. But it will stay on there for that long. And then, yeah, if there's no more activity, it'll just go away. Any questions about suspicious activity reports?
Yeah,
So the
hold up.
Go ahead.
Hold up.
The feature you just described is suspicious activity report. Would that be considered the edit feature also if you needed to add something to an initial one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hold on, let's see. So this is the initial one. Oh, I wouldn't be able to do it in continued. So continued, you can only add new ones. You can't add information. But if it is not filed yet, you can go ahead and go in there. Click on that. Huh. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you have to go into the SAI, the initial report, and then I can go in here and add whatever I need to add. and edit it. So if, there was another reason, I could put another reason in. And then add any, comments and then save it. So you have to go into the initial SAI and then, edit it that way. And then that would actually update on the case. Any other questions? All right, so I put that to committee review. So once I go to the committee, your committee members are only going to have access to this tab. All right. So they're not going to see anything else. They're just going to see committee. And they're going to see the cases. So they can't edit cases. They can't, they can't do anything with the cases. It's read only, basically. So they can go ahead and click on the document and see exactly what you put in here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so they click on the case ID, and then they can click on this, and they can see exactly what happened. So this is the incident date, the department, where it happened, the reason. These are all your notes, and then who put it in. So they'll just, it's read only. They'll look at it, and then yep, then it can go back and they can add notes. Say researched case, approved to file, whatever the case may be. They can save their notes. And then they can vote on yes or no if they want to file. So if I vote yes, second. Oh, yep. And then once, yep.
Real quick, not that you would need more than one. I can't think of any reason in particular, but can you have more than one instance of Sync31 running at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like Synchros where you can have multiple.
I actually have 2 open right now.
Okay, all right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, these are all the reports. They don't need to be open anymore. But yeah, once the committee review votes on, whatever SAR documents, compliance will go back to the cases, suspicious activity. And once I click on this and I want to now file it, you'll see this committee tab. When I click on that, I can it'll show everyone who is in my committee. All right, obviously this is a little exaggerated. You probably have like 4 or 5 people in your committee, but you can see who voted yes and how many, and then you can see who voted no and how many. And any notes. You know, so I'm the only one that put a note in, because I'm the only one that voted. And then when you are ready to file it, you know, you can then go with your committee on, yes, file it, or no, don't file it. Review everyone's notes. And then if you are going to file it, you would go back to the alerts. I already included this one. Put in any notes, attachments, and then I'll go to my SAR document. And same thing, same steps as a CTR. Save and continue. Actually, I already saved and continued everything because I put it in committee review. So really all I would have to do is go and mark it for e-file.
So if this was ready for the committee to review, would it send an email to the people on the committee to let them know that there was one to review?
It'll, I don't know. I think it would, you know what? I'm gonna write that down, parking lot that, because I really don't know. It might send an email once, it's actually like done. So once it goes
Okay,
to, like, once it goes to, e-file, I would have to go in here and then actually send it to the BSA. Then it might, send them an email saying, hey, you know, the reports were sent, but
Okay,
I'm not 100% on that.
thank you.
Yes. All right. Eh. Really make me upset that that won't go to AML. I am on number 10 on the agenda. We're gonna go to the AML e-file. And again, you know, you can, from here, you can look at the cases as well. But I can click on that. And, you know, you'll have your list of your CTRs and your SARs. The SARs are over here. Don't think I have any in there, no. But, you can literally check mark it, file it, or, you know, like I said, you can set up, day and time that it'll file every week. Or every, you know, 2 weeks, you can set it up. Once I hit file, it's gonna, you know, ask me like, are you sure you want to e-file this document? Submit it, it'll contact BSA, send it to them. And then it'll be out of your, batch file list. And then, let me go back here. Yeah, and then it'll say, you know, in your CTRs, it'll say mark for e-file. And then, once, you know, the BSA looks at them and, completes them, you know, they'll send you something back saying, all right, yep, all good, or, it'll say approved or, closed or, it'll say, it could be approved with errors. So you would just have to go back in there and it'll actually highlight the errors, of the document. Um, yeah, you just go back in, it'll highlight the errors of the document and, you just go in and fix them. And the great thing about this is, so in the past, if I, say I had all these CTRs on, one filing and, uh, two of them come back with errors, they won't send you the entire list back. They will only send you the two, which is awesome. So then I would just fix the errors, and then send them to the BSA again. Hopefully they approve it. And then you are good to go. So we went over special activity, MILs, or FTLs, NILs, CTRs, AML file, community review. Any questions at all? I take your silence as a no. Let's take a little break. Uh, let's do 15 minutes if that's okay with everyone. Because I have to run over to the office side of the building real quick. 15 minutes
Thanks,
good?
Angelo. Yep, sounds good.
All right, so it is 3:35, we'll call it. Let's come back at 3:50 and resume.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yep, sounds good.
Hey, Angelo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool, thanks.
Is everyone back? Are we ready to continue? Is everyone ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Good here.
All right. Next is number 11 on the agenda. That is going to be the KYCs, know your customer. So it's going to be under cases. KYCs. So I always use the example of why to fill out a know your customer. The example I like to use is you have a patron that comes in, say 3-4 days a week, and they normally, buy in and gamble, $100 to $200 a day. All right. And then a week goes by and all of a sudden he comes in and he gambles $4 grand. And then the next day he comes in, it's another $4 grand. And then the next day he's, hitting the Title 31 threshold and he's in 8,000. Well, where's this money coming from? All right. And, this customer's been coming into your casino for years. You've never seen him spend this kind of money. And, you know that he works at McDonald's. All right. Well, I don't know how much McDonald's pays, but I know it's not, not enough to spend, 16,000 in a week. So you'd want to do a know your customer. So hit the plus button, find the patron. You can search for that patron. This is all manual, okay? So there's no drop down, because there can be, hundreds of reasons why you're doing to know your customer. So I'm just going to do source of funds. And then in your case note, you can say like, for years he, averaged, $200 buy-in, and, all of a sudden he's up to, 4,000 a day. All right. I'm just gonna put something in there, just so save time. You could save it. So that's the alert. And you could put, it'll show your notes that you put on the case. If you want to put any attachments in, you can do that as well. And any reviews. You can add a roll, for review, and then, tell them exactly what, you want them to review. Submit that. And then you can go through your list. All right. So I can go, depending on the size of your casino, you might have, all these roles. If you only have one, you can skip and just go straight to the compliance committee. Or you can go through the channels. So if I go pending review by KYC manager, then the manager can come in here, review it, do their investigation, and then they can go ahead and move it to the next person. They can do their investigation, move it to the next person. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I can also assign cases to people as well. If I hit this little pencil, and I know the KYC manager, say it's Joe, I can assign that to Joe. There's another one of those beautiful errors I was talking about. Oh, it didn't even take it. All right, well, I'll assign it to me. See if that'll work. No? Okay. Here, I'm just gonna screenshot that. And I'm gonna send that error in and say, hey, what's going on here? It won't let me save. And then if I go back to my cases, BYC. What is going on here? You can also, hey, let me start over. So this little, person with the check mark, it's also assigning cases. You can select, multiple cases, and then you can also assign them this way. Oh, so that way worked, but the other way didn't. Okay. I didn't even save my KYC. But once you get your KYC, do your investigation. And then if need be, you can create a suspicious activity incident report, which will then go to the cases, the SAR cases, and you can file those cases for your KYC. If you do your investigation and, you find out that, okay, somebody in his family passed away and he got trust fund, that's where you're getting all his cash from. You did your due diligence, you did your investigation, you can go ahead and close that case as well. Any questions about know your customer? And also, if you did find out, that, the source of funds is not legit, you can go ahead and ban that patron. This is the only place you can ban a patron in Synk31. And that will also ban that patron in Synchros. So the next time, the patron comes in and, cards in, tries to play, you'll set up a, surveillance, like, ban patron alert. And surveillance will get an alert saying, hey, this patron is banned, and they just card it in. So they then call security and go ahead and trespass. So next is our reports. So we're gonna go into reports. You get your patron reports. You can look up a patron. Go with Dr. Jekyll again, search for him. He doesn't have anything. Let me go with one of the lingos here. So I just put the last name lingo. So just like Synchros, if you only use the last name, it's going to pull up everyone with that last name in your system. So let's try this guy. There's the overview. Oh, sorry, I'm an idiot. You have to put in a date range. So what date range do you want to look at reports for this patron? I'm just go back a few months because I don't know exactly what information is in here. Once I hit submit, yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for to pop up. It basically gives you like a cover sheet of what cases and incidences that this patron had. So he didn't have any suspicious activity. He had six CTRs, 0 know your customers. And then you can actually click on these. These are hyperlinks. And if I want to look at his CTR cases, I can click on that and it'll take me to all the CTR cases, back to the other forums. And then it's also the number of alerts that hit for the scenarios for this patron. So, like minimal gaming hit a couple times for him, and there was a cash out, a couple other ones. And you can print this cover page too if you had to send it in. But if you go to reports here, it'll show you reports on this date range as well. So if I go to my CTR report, oh, that's not right. It said he had 6 CTRs. So the MTO transaction report, because on the report, it used to be smaller, so it wouldn't have it. It had not so many columns of information, and throughout, selling this to customers, they wanted to add like all these columns. So in order to look at this report, you have to download it to CSV. So when you pull up that report, hit the CSV download, and then you can click on that and it should open up. And then basically the report will have, all this information. So the gaming day transaction, what type, cash in, cash out, any comments, employee that put in, and then the source of where the transactions came from. So the difference between the transaction report and the group report. Got that quick. It's basically just going to give you totals for that day of the transaction type. So it's not going to have every single transaction type, to where your MTL will have every single type, every single cash in. And it will also, so it'll also have like bills in for slot machines. It'll show every transaction for, the bills in. Then you got your NALs report, the OFAC. Well, that's not gonna have any information. Any SARs on this patron. Doesn't have any scenarios. So these are the scenarios that hit for the SARs. Any tax documentation. And how many tin checks. So there was only one ran for him. And then there are also system reports. So same thing, you can do a date range. I'm just gonna do this month. So there was 9 suspicious activities, 38 CTRs. So, this is the documents with either acknowledged or acknowledged with errors after the AMLE file. And then all the alerts that happened during that time frame. And then go to reports. And again, the audit report is basically just going to show you everything that was changed. All right. So any transactions that were changed, show previous value, new value on what was changed. So there's the one that I did earlier. I changed the cash in from 3,200 to 4,200. Death master list. It'll show duplicate accounts if there are any in the system. And it looks like there's a few. So on and so forth. Actually, this report will probably be a lot bigger. Yeah, so with all these tabs on the report, it wouldn't fit on one page. That's why they had it, download the CSV. Yeah, so this scenario report will show you like all the scenarios that hit for suspicious activity, and then this one would be any parameter changes. But yeah, I wish there was a report on the tests. That would be nice. So that's your reports, and then your compliance reviews. So the OFAC check. Hold on, I just want to check my notes real quick to make sure I'm not telling you anything wrong. So the OFAC check, it basically runs patrons and or businesses that may be on the SDN list, or SDN is specifically designated nationals on which we are not to do business with. And it looks something like this if it does hit. Got a couple examples here. Is that it? No. Here we go. So we put a patron in our system, Jake, and if there's any matches, possible matches that they could be on the SDN list, you'll get an email. All right. So basically, like the person in Synchros is Jake, but it's referring, to I don't want to mess up his name, but Jacques, and his alternate names like AKAs are Jake Mate or Jacques Mate. All right, so that's why it's pulling them up. But obviously this is not any of these. So you would do your investigation, make sure it's not the same person, and then in so then if it was reviewed, there would be a check mark saying, hey, it's reviewed, and then supposed to be notes. Well, if it's reviewed and it's got the green check mark, it's basically saying that they're good to go. They're not on the list. If there was any possible matches. And then your tin check, most of them are going to say, in my test instance here, the filter here. Again, if there's no IRS match found and a combination doesn't match the records, if they reviewed it, it'll be check mark reviewed. We put in, someone found Elvis's social in here, and they put it in. Oh, I got a picture of it. There it is. So on the DML, if there's a possible match for the Death Master, it'll basically tell you and send you an email saying, hey, there's a possible social security number that matches somebody on the Death Master list. And yeah, someone put in Elvis's social. Who believes he's still not dead? And then it'll just basically list all the tin checks that were done. There's match found. Oh, so the NAs will be matches. So somebody must have put their real social in. So this one was matched. And then the other ones that are invalid or, no IRS, you can review it. Put in your note. And then submit that. But yeah, these are going to be all your OFAC checks, your social security number checks, and your death master list checks, and what date they were checked.
Angelo,
Yes.
quick question. Does it store matched tin checks as green? Or does it have to be searched each time? Because I know there's a fee involved when you do a tin check.
Correct. You have like a certain number of tin checks to do every month. But yeah, once they're checked and they're approved, you'll never have to check them again, really.
So it'll give us a
Unless you
copy of
want
the
to.
green tin check.
So, go to my MTLs here. We put a bunch of fake socials in here, so you're not going to have 2 green check marks. But once you do a tin check, both of these are supposed to be green, and then you're good to go. They'll always stay. You won't have to do a check every time they come up on an MTL or CTR. Just do it one time, and you're good.
Thank you.
Yep. Any questions on the compliance review? All right, so that's your checks. And last but not least, guys, your tax. So when a jackpot hits in Synchros, all right, the jackpot is going to be processed in Synchros. Once it's processed, whoever's processing it. So normally when people use Synk31, they use the tax forms in here instead of using it in Synchros. Because everything comes up, automatically. Everything's inputted. All you have to do is go over the jackpot, make sure all the information is good, go ahead and save it. And then all of your W-2s will save in here as well. All you have to do is get that jackpot number and put it in here. And hit search. And look at that. Ivan Hernandez has a jackpot in here for $10,000. All right, so what tax form do I want to use for this jackpot? All right, go W2G. And so for this guy, there was no TIN or DML check done for him. So I can click on that. I got his social. I can run my check. Oh, he's on a possible death master list. So then we would have to do some investigation, make sure, it's not this guy. And if he is using grandpa's social, well, then he's in big trouble. So actually, I'm going to change that, save it. And I'm gonna run that check again. Why didn't that save? Didn't I just change that to a 6? Okay. What the hell? Let's do something else here. That is not what I typed in. Oh, there it goes. Give me my green check mark. There it is. So it's not his social because, you know, it's a random social, but he's not on the death master list, so we're good. But yeah, these two would turn green, and then that'd be the only time you have to do a tin check. And then the W-2, like I said, everything's gonna auto populate. So, you know, the payer's information will be, you know, your casino's information, patron information. And then when you scroll down, you know, you got your federal tax ID number. Then the state tax ID number would be, oh, it would be there if it was saved. Reportable winnings right here would be 10,000 jackpot, type of wager, tax withheld, percentage, the jackpot number. The race is the asset number. That's where it hit. So that would be like the slot machine number. And then you got your winnings. There's a state tax withheld. There's that number in there. These first and second ID fields, same thing with Synchros. If it's the patron's first time ever hitting a jackpot, we would have to put these in there. Basically, we normally use like the driver's license number and then the social security number again. But then that would be the patron social security number there as well. You know, get your winnings, and then if everything looks kosher, go ahead and save. Sure you want to save this document? Yes, I do. And then so you guys are getting the Kinetic app, I know that, but I wonder if, you know what, that's my own question I'm gonna write down. So I don't know if the Kinetic app would let them e-sign a W-2. But basically, Synk31 lets you electronically sign these things. So if you do have a tablet or something that they can, you know, just use their finger and sign their name, you can hit that. But just for this case, if they don't have electronic signature, you could just hit the print to PDF, and then you could print these out. And then after you print them out, you can have them sign them. Skip that. And then the W-2 is going to save in the system. So that's a 10,000 jackpot. You haven't signed their W-2s, you know, do your procedures, what you do with those papers. But if you wanted to come back in here, so you can save it, and then if the Kinetic app allows e-signatures, you can just go back in here and click this pen. And then, you know, they can use their finger or whatever, save that signature. That's why it says completed, not signed, because it wasn't e-signed. But once they sign it, you can click back in there. And then if you hit this little page, you can bring that W-2 back up, and then it's really small. But that's what the signature is going to look like with the e-signature. And then you can also reprint as well. Or you can edit. If you want to edit, hit the little pencil, edit, resave it. If you made a mistake, you can delete that W-2. It's not going to delete out of the system. It's just going to look red and say discarded. And then make a new one. But if there isn't a jackpot tied to the patron, you get the plus button, go to your W2G, look up your patron. So this guy doesn't have a social on file. Same thing, you go in here, put in a social, save, and then run the check. Make sure you get 2 green check marks. But this would be a manual jackpot. So it would still get the payer's information, the patron, and then you would just have to do all the asterisks, all the mandatory fields. So put in the winnings, what did they win on, first ID, second ID. If there's tax withheld, you'd have to do that manually. The jackpot number, asset number, state tax withheld, put in their social security number here, and then save it. And that's how you would do a manual. And then same thing, save it to PDF, print it out, have them sign it. Any questions?
Yeah, the W-2 that's not electronically signed, how do you complete it showing signed over on this side here, on the right side?
You won't. It's completed. It's just not signed. But you have the paperwork, and then you would save those to a file or whatever in your cage. Whatever your procedures are.
Okay, second question.
It's gonna stay not signed because it's not electronically signed.
Okay, the second question is 1042S. Are all the country codes going to be pre-programmed?
Yes. They'll be programmed in synchros. So then it'll flow over to Synk31.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if wherever he was from, that would be your amendment code, so that'd be the country code. But yeah, so I mean, his ID on file would be foreign as well, so that would upload the country he's from, and then yeah, all the other information as well. Yep. And then this little guy here is actually pretty cool. You'd have to set it up, but when you're ready to file all your tax forms to the IRS, you can click this and so you'd have to choose which or what tax forms you're filing. So it's just gonna be the W-2s, right? And then I can put in my date range, and it'll just pull the W-2s out of here. So the type here, W-2, and then this one's 1042. I can export that, and it actually puts them in IRS format, which it looks like, it, you know, the notepad that you pull up, you know, generic notepad, it'll basically have all the W-2s and the information, in IRS form on a notepad, which I don't know how they read it. It's really weird. But, you can export it and then you'll file it to the IRS in their format. So then you don't have to do it manually. It's actually pretty cool. Um, that's all I have for you guys. I don't think I've ever completed a Synk31 class this quickly. But I got the questions that you asked written down that I couldn't answer for you. And I'm gonna get with my AML specialist, Melissa, and run these questions past her. Hopefully she can give me an answer, and then I will send you an email.
Thank you.
You guys have anything else for me?
Nope.
Excellent. Well, I gave you guys back an hour and a half of your day. So enjoy. And then I will be joining with you guys tomorrow, probably again for the other classes, if you attend. So thank you very much. Have a good day. And like I said, I'll get an email out with those questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angela.
Good job, Matt. Good job.
Thank you, Angela. Good job.
Thank you.